Good morning. Glad you could join me on today's walk and talk. I am walking through Bonfil. It's this town I've been hanging out in. It's a nice town. It's a little beach town, and it has some interesting features. It's a little town, surfers, beach restaurants, 40 minutes from Acapulco. But what's special about this town is how it works, how it functions as far as the town goes. Because about 15 years ago, this town got sick of the corruption of the police department, so they burnt the police station down. Police station, mayor, all that kind of junk. They don't have that here. It's anarchy. Now, let's clarify, anarchy doesn't mean chaos, as some would have you believe, but anarchy is no ruler, as opposed to monarchy, which is one ruler, or these other forms of government. Anarchy is no ruler, but that doesn't mean no rules. You can have anarchy, you experience it all the time. You and your friends are hanging out, you have rules. I mean, no one's hurting each other, no one's grabbing everyone's stuff. I mean, there's social norms, rules, but no ruler. There's no ruler amongst you and your friends. There's just common ideas, common rules. And that's how that works here. And like I said, it's worked for quite a while. Now, as far as police, I mean, the federales, the military roll through. It seems like once every month or so they're still around. And the National Highway Patrol is like 5 blocks that way. But this town itself, no, the administration is handled by the people that live in it. There's no mayor, there's no permissions, there's no licensing to do this or that. Seems, I mean, people do have their business license with the federal government, but here on a local level, they're just doing things. I mean, really, nobody's messing with anyone. Because I said, it is a community. They all know each other. And it's a really good example of how anarchy can work. Like I said, seems like a quiet little town. So, anarchy is no ruler. So this town functions with no ruler, no licenses, no this, that. People just do their things. But how does this all work? Perfectly? Well, no, because you get things like this. Because all of a sudden I'm walking down Beach Road, and right here is a swimming pool. What's a swimming pool doing in the middle of the road? Well, this is what happened. So, a few years back, during the slow season, I heard this guy just blocked off the road. A couple days later, it's unblocked and people come to see that he's got a swimming pool in the middle of the road. And on the other side of the street was empty. So they just claimed it as their beach and put chairs up and tables, and things keep going. Neighbor next door to him on the other side, well, did he upset? No, he thought it was a good idea too. And he built his own pool. So we got 2 pools. Third neighbor decided to extend their building. So now the road has been blocked off. But the town's not over. Somebody just blocked the road. And what that's called is tragedy of the commons. I've heard people try to explain it, this concept, this game theory of how humans function in different situations, and I've heard it explained as polluting the oceans, and that's certainly a tragedy in the commons, but a tragedy of the commons, something like a pool in the middle of the road. Tragedy of the commons is a old game theory. I think it was done by some probably economist or something back in the day, but it was how do groups of people work? And the guy used the common field as an example. Back in the day, a village would have It's little villagers, their houses. But as far as fields went, there was a common field or a commons where everyone could take, their animals to graze and all this other good stuff. Take care of their livestock. So the tragedy of the commons was one person would overuse it. For example, if too many animals overgrazed, they take away all the grass and kind of mess up the land and not grow. So it was to everyone's advantage that everyone just used it a little bit, moved around the field with their livestock, their sheep, and then they went on with their life, like they let it grow. But tragedy of the commons is when people think, oh, that other person's gonna cheat, I might as well cheat, and it kind of keeps going to where like, oh, if I don't do it, someone else is gonna do it, and end up ruining the shared resource. Another example of that could be like oyster fishing in a bay or something like that, or crabs or lobsters, things like that. Maybe they're getting, the population is dwindling, so they'll kind of say, oh, well, let's all not fish or not take anything under a certain size to let the population grow. And as they do that, the population does grow. But the prices of those oysters or crabs go up because there's a limited supply. So now there's an incentive for people to cheat, to to fish again and poach, break the law, or whatever you want to call it, break the deal. And they do, because they think, hey, if I don't, somebody else will, and that will lead to the tragedy of the commons. It's kind of an example of it. Loose example, but so what I can do on a 7:30 in the morning. But that's kind of what I wanted to explain. So I'm walking down the beach because I wanted to show you something else. So right here is this little trail from the beach. As we look along the beach, I notice these palapas. They come all the way out to the shore because that's what people do. They want all the beach they can. There is no kind of rules. It's anarchy. So I'm walking up this little alley, beach access from the beach to the road. And as I walk up and I'm coming back to the road, I've bypassed those two pools. I'm now on the other side of that. And you can see behind me another pool. That's the third pool. And now we have arrived at this other street. So as I walk on this kind of broken road, this is one of the 3 streets of the town that got blocked off, that got cut off from the rest of the town because the road was closed by these pools. Well, these other roads have lost something called the network effect. Network effect is what happens when things grow, a network grows. For example, if you connect A to B, this one stretch of road has connected these 2 units. But if you connect C to B, you now have a stretch of road connecting 3 units. And that's how networks go. If somebody builds onto A, now C can connect to B, to A, to that other road. If somebody connects to C, say D, you now have 4 roads connected, 4 towns connected, 4 spots connected by just adding 1 road. That's the network effect. Things kind of grow upon themselves. And the bigger the network is, the faster it'll usually grow. It's pretty common. Like they call that a game theory. So like I said, I'm on the beach and the town is right behind me. And I'm about at the end of it. There's a couple more blocks, but they're just grassy and isolated. Or sandy and isolated, I guess I should say, because they got cut off from the rest of the town. And you kind of see it. Those other parts of town are kind of I don't know, just no business there. You don't really go there. There's a couple, people live there, but I mean, it's essentially kind of like a dead zone. There's no restaurants or anything really working there. It was kind of pretty amazing what this network effect and tragedy that commons can do. Now, the question is it really a tragedy? And man, not if you're swimming in that pool. I mean, the guy with the pool doesn't mind. Everyone seemed to just go along with it, and they started making more pools. I know a guy who's like, well, I might as well make a pool here too. But they ended up, like I said, taking land that was, in the commons. But they no longer, they're more interested in themselves. And that's what happened. The common beach road, which is really what makes all this work. This town with its, its tourism, it's all along Beach Road for the most part, and it got stopped. But man, I'll tell you what, a few hours from now there'll be a bunch of kids playing in that pool, and they ain't gonna find this to be a tragedy. Anyway, this is a quick little video about Bonfil, and yeah, I guess like this swimming pool in the middle of the road, and the tragedy of the commons.